Hey there, beautiful souls. Welcome to InnerViews, the podcast where we dive deep into the realms of therapy, healing, and intentional living. I'm your guide on this adventure, Ivory. Are you ready to embark on a transformative journey with me? Whether you're navigating the complexities of trauma, embracing intentional parenting, or seeking self-help strategies, this podcast is your sanctuary. InnerViews is not just a podcast, it's a community. A safe space where stories unfold and healing takes center stage. Your story matters. And here, courageous storytelling is the heartbeat of our existence. We'll be exploring powerful themes like healing, navigating the intricacies of foster care, the strength found in survival, the beauty of reclamation, and the pure bliss of joy. So if you're ready to join hands with a community that understands, subscribe now. Let's walk this path together because the journey toward understanding and well-being starts right here, right now. Welcome to InnerViews, where every step is a celebration of your resilience and a testament to the incredible strength within you. Let's make this journey unforgettable. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so grateful. Today, I have the honor and privilege of speaking with Chaplain Dr. Kizer. Dr. K, welcome to our show. How are you today?
I'm great. I'm blessed, thankful, like yourself. Yes, ma'am.
That is wonderful. So the other day, we were just talking about this. The other day, I was searching hashtags on Facebook and I came across your group. And I just thought that the work you're doing is so powerful and so impactful. You are essentially collecting the stories of people with lived experience in the child welfare system. We'll dig deep into that a little bit later in our conversation. But can you start off telling us who you are? Who are you as a person? What's your
Well, first and foremost, I am a follower of, I refer to him as Yahweh, who is God, the creator of the universe, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's who I follow. That's who I worship.
Mm,
And I feel like the Lord is using me as a mouthpiece, as a visionary author of two books. And the focus is foster care. And that's a topic that we don't hear much about, whether it's in the newspaper, on television, magazines. And I feel like that's the forgotten population.
mhm.
I'm a mom, I'm a grandmother, I have one great grandson, and I'm just, one of those people who just decided that I wanted to do something different. I wanted to literally just be, even in the history books, I
Mm.
want for someone, I want for children to be able to read and say, oh, okay, I didn't know anything about this lady, but what did she do? So I just want the Lord to use me in regards to history books and let children receive what they need also, even from my nonprofit, which is called K's Carry On. And what we give them is brand new rolling luggage, and they receive like a Bible, a journal, blanket, anything that most children need when they come into care, their own toothbrush, toothpaste, their own items instead of any type of what I would call borrowed or loaned items. These actually belong to the children. So
Mhm, mhm.
that's what the Lord has placed on my heart, and that's what I enjoy doing.
That's so beautiful. We'll put your information in the show notes for our viewers. And can you share briefly, where are you located? Where's your organization? Like, what state are you serving?
I actually started I'm incorporated in Texas,
Oh, okay.
and I've really went everywhere. I currently live in Florida,
Okay, okay.
but I serve children everywhere. I have a brochure out right now that actually says, on the very back of it, it says that it started in Texas. I said, but we're expanding,
Okay.
to all the states because I've had luggage drives in Georgia and just different states where people learn about me and they'll say, oh, well, can we do something here in my state? It's kind of like, yes, let's do that. Just go everywhere.
I love to hear that. And so you mentioned that your organization services foster youth. I was in care for 17 years in Western Pennsylvania.
Mm.
Do you care to share a little bit about your experiences in child welfare? So was it foster care? Was it juvenile justice? Was it some other sect within the child welfare system?
I was placed in the foster care system right after birth, and my mother had already made a decision that she was not going to parent me. So I just think about the fact of being rejected in the womb. Like you're being formed, you're being cradled in your mother's womb, and your mother's already made a decision, like, I'm not keeping you. And at
Mm,
that time, they didn't know if they were having a boy or a girl. So it's
right.
kind of like, because
Mhm.
that was in the 1961.
Mm-hmm.
So she had already made that decision. And what I think is also interesting about all of that is she listened to older siblings,
Mm,
and those siblings gave her this recommendation, this suggestion.
right.
And so now that when I go out and I even speak pertaining to the Lord, he tells us to pay attention to who's in our ear gates,
Mm,
which means even young people, because what they do is they'll take some words from a friend and they think it's good, and it ends up shooting them in another direction. And so in her case, she chose to listen to her older sisters.
mm,
And then she also kept it a secret, which means only three sisters knew about it. So even when I was blessed to find my biological mom, the rest of her siblings didn't even know I existed.
mm,
So it's really sad, that there's secrets, but I know for sure from reading my records that I was in three foster homes before the age of 5.
mm, mhm,
And when I have wrote in these anthologies, I just find it hard to believe that a newborn baby all the way up to age 5 could actually be moved even 3 times, and how traumatic it is to a child. So my experiences have not been good, but what's been helpful is the
mhm,
writing about the good, bad, and the ugly. And so there was a foster mom who actually took her cigarettes and she would put them out in my hand. And so I would have these black marks in there. And for a long time, I always wondered, like, were those marks ever going to go away? Which I noticed I still have a few on here.
mm, mhm,
But foster parents can either be good, they can choose to intentionally be good and be a good asset for that child or a resource, or they can go the other route. And
mhm,
mine chose to go the other route, which
mm,
is really unfortunate because I even dealt with being perpetrated by older foster children in the home.
mhm,
And I'm praying that the Lord will bless me to teach classes, even in the foster care system, and say, guess what? Do not leave the doors closed in your home. Yes, those are your children. Yes, those are the foster children, but your doors need to stay open. And
mhm.
you, as the foster parent, need to get up out of your comfort and go check to see what's going on in all of these rooms, because while you're being comfortable, somebody's being perpetrated on, and it's going on right there under your, in your household.
Absolutely. Like Dr. K, I speak to so many people who have lived experience like us, and I honestly can't think of one who hasn't had some form of trauma, neglect, or abuse from living in foster care. And I firmly believe, I know there are people who will disagree with me. I believe that being removed from your mother in itself is a traumatic event. And so when we start off on trauma, right, the removal as trauma, but then we add these other things, it just makes me think personally. I love therapy. I'm in therapy right now. And we keep talking about, me and my therapist are talking about my younger years. I don't know if you've ever heard people refer to reparenting your own inner child. And so I've been having to do a lot of work for my inner child, and not even my big little kid, Ivory. It's baby Ivory. It's like 2 to 3 year old
Mm-hmm.
Ivory that we're really focusing on.
Mm-hmm.
And she tells me over and over again, you mentioned being in 3 different homes by the age of 5. She tells me that that's a time around 3 to 5. Those are times when we should have been protected. We were vulnerable. And there
Mm-hmm.
was nothing we could do to keep people from hurting us. That
Right.
was the time when we were supposed to be scooped up and loving and in arms and held and
Mm-hmm.
handled softly and gently. And I think that's one of the things that unfortunately a lot of us didn't get to experience. And it has lasting consequences and lasting impacts. So thank you for your bravery and even sharing that. I really do appreciate it. And I hope that we can all heal enough so that we can be gentle with ourselves when life feels hard and we can foster safety in people, places, and things that allow us to be at peace with those things that we've experienced. So, you talked a little bit about being a small baby and a little kid. What was it like being a teenager in foster care for you?
Well, my safe place was going to school.
Me
I was physically beaten so often till I looked forward to just walking to the end of the driveway to get on the school bus because there I knew that was my safe space. No one was going to put their hands on me. No one was going to speak to me inappropriately, even my classmates. So that's what life was like as a teenager. I loved going to school. Most kids, even now, are not, they can't open their mouth to say that,
Yeah.
or they won't voluntarily say that. Even if life is horrible at home, they still not going to say that. And I grew up in Michigan, so we would have snow days, and I really hated it. Like,
Mhm.
look, like don't let it snow.
Yeah.
Most kids want a snow day, but not me.
Yeah.
So we could have snow all the way up to my knees, and the school bus would still come. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, so
Well, yeah.
I went on out there and got on that bus.
I'm sure you were the only happy person to do
Yes, hey, yeah, yeah.
That's a first. Yeah, I never heard of people being dismayed at a snow day. Yeah.
Right.
And,
Yes.
and I was a former English teacher. I taught for almost 6 years English and I coached cheerleading. So yeah, it's really strange because a lot of students nowadays with really difficult home lives, child welfare or not, they don't enjoy school. And I think that's a school thing. The school culture, the education culture has really shifted. I mean, I'm a little bit younger than you, but I think that we both got to experience eras in education that were more empowering for youth and that centered youth a little bit more. Whereas, as someone who used to teach in the last few years, it's really just about testing now and making money off of testing and really
That is
exploiting
true.
those underprivileged, historically underserved communities. So I understand why they feel that way. And at the same time, there are still some foster kids or child welfare involved youth who do find refuge in school. So you got through that as a teenager. I'm sure that was not easy. What was summertime like for you? Did you try to find sports that you could be involved in or clubs or experiences that could keep you away from home?
I wish that it was like that because I loved running track.
Mm,
But, as foster parents, something that I always I'll say, educate foster parents is that when a foster child wants to
mhm.
do an extracurricular activity after school, is give that time and don't say, oh, well, I don't have time to pick you up after school and all that. Because that's what I experienced was
Yeah.
that no one poured into me and said, okay, she wants to do track. I'm going to make sure, okay, you stay after school and I'll come get you afterwards. It didn't work that way for me.
Yeah.
So I didn't get to do any extracurricular activities, which is really unfortunate because I have grandchildren now that are doing everything.
Oh,
One of the things that I enjoyed the most during the summer was visiting grandparents. It
oh,
was on the foster dad side, and she would always take me in, both of them, and just grandparents. And I love the fact that I could just go to the park. It's like they gave me freedom. They didn't hold me down. I wasn't being stuck in a room. No one told me I had to do homework, or they didn't even want me to do any housework. It's just go and be a kid. So
yeah.
that felt interesting during the summer, but I loved it.
Yeah.
So every time I would hear the ice cream truck come down the street, my grandparents would always make sure I had money so
Oh,
I could go out. So I'm going to say my happy times of being in the foster care system was the joy that they brought
mm,
into my life. And of course, they didn't know anything about the physical beatings. They didn't know the emotional, the mental. They didn't know about any of that because as a child, I just chose to be silent. I didn't tell anyone. So, but they were just being grandparents, which is what grandparents do, right? I mean, I'm a grandmother
Yeah.
I have four grandchildren and I have one great grandson. So I'm only concerned about making life simpler and easier and making sure they have some money in their hands. And I feel like, in a sense, children probably have too much these days, but you know, too
Well,
many
that's
elect
what adults get to
too
do. They get
many
loyal, you know.
yeah,
They get to
too
give.
many electronics and all that kind of stuff. But just being a grandmother, I have two grandsons who just love for me to play board games with them,
Oh.
like Uno, and we just play a lot of different games. And it has nothing to do with a telephone or a tablet or anything like that. So that's why I say I feel like some kids just have too much.
Yeah, and I think that, as a culture, as a society here in the West, we've moved away from those authentic engagement opportunities. I remember playing Yahtzee with my grandmother and bingo
Oh, yes.
and all those different things. And I remember that just being so fun. And there were no phones, no technology involved, and she would even make up her own rules. But that was fun. That was kind of quintessentially what my idea of what it would mean to have a grandparent. And I only
Mm,
one grandparent. All of my other ones had passed away before I was born. Uh,
hmm.
that's really beautiful. Thank you for sharing a little bit about your journey as a grandmother.
Yes.
And I'll ask you a little bit more about that in a second. But so you talked to us about what it was like to be kind of a younger teenager. So college, I know that you're a doctor now. How did you get to college? What was it like having the background that you have? What was your journey towards becoming a doctor? Can you talk to us a little bit about all of that?
Well, once I was finished, prior to even going to college, I actually joined the Army because I thought that was a good route to go because I knew that I'd have shelter and, you know, the military gonna make sure that you're not lacking anything. So I did that for a short time. I did basic training AIT. And the silly thing about all of that is prior to going into the military, I was dating this guy and we ended up getting married. And we got married before him and I both went to basic training, which means he
Ah.
went to New Jersey and I went to South Carolina.
Oh,
And so here it is, we're newlywed couple going, our own different directions. And then we came back together during AIT. But I just thought that was kind of interesting how that part of life occurred and, prior to going to college. But I didn't do well my very first semester. It was a brand new adventure. The foster mom had passed away, so I was still dealing grieving from that. And you know what I think is interesting, if I can touch on this,
mhm.
is even though she physically, verbally, emotionally, psychologically tore me down, I don't understand it, but I still grieved for her presence. I still don't understand that.
That's real. That's very
It
real.
is real.
And I've been in about 12 different homes too, and I wonder how much grief I haven't allowed myself to feel from even changing just all those homes. The familiarity of it all, that
Right.
kind of becomes your family, good, bad, and ugly too, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we
Mm-hmm.
do that over and over and over again. And for me, it sounds like we both have a love for school and education, grieving all the schools that I had to change, all the friends that I had to change, all the teachers that I had to change.
That's right.
At 33, I'm 33. I'm learning to unpack all these things that I didn't have the time to feel back in the day because I compartmentalized all of it. And so, yeah, there's no judgment here. I get it. You're grieving. And college is so hard for people with like foster care experience. We're not prepared adequately. We're not supported
Mm-hmm.
adequately. And I was just talking to my younger sister today about how college is so much more than just being smart.
That's
So
right.
it's not about being smart. It's not about being academic. It's really about navigating the world, leveraging your support systems or lack thereof, and making the most of what you got. And we don't come in with a lot when we come from our background. So that's valid. That's really, really,
Yes,
yeah. And how did you become a doctor? So you got through your really difficult freshman year.
I did. And finally, I feel like I took on the challenge. And, because when I was in high school, I had already been told to just go get a job.
Mm,
Like, And this was prior to graduation from high school. And in my mind, I'm thinking, even at 18, it's like, well, who tells their child to just go get a job? Well, you
Mm-hmm.
got the rest of your life to do that, right? To work. So I remember going and getting certificates. And then I started off with an associate's degree and did really well with that. Always striving for A's. Would be disappointed if I saw B's, but I would still move forward. Jumped from the associate's degree to the bachelor's degree. Now, in the process of the associates and the bachelor's, the Lord had blessed me with my daughter, who's now, she'll be 22 on Monday.
Beautiful.
So she was a part of my life in the process of adopting her, adding her to the family.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just, I really wanted to show myself that I can do this. So I actually asked a best friend to care for my daughter, who was about 16, 17 months at the time. I said, will you take care of her so I can go walk across the stage and get my degree? Now, to me, that's kind of crazy, but and no one was in the audience. It didn't even matter.
It didn't matter.
I just wanted to go. It's like, okay, I've earned this, I've done it, I'm gonna keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And so sure enough, when they called my name, I just went across the stage and enjoyed hearing my name, I guess. And like I said, didn't know anybody there, just stood in line, as they proceed you across stage.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just continued on with now the doctorate degree is just recent. So that means that there's been some time in between. So that occurred in October
Awesome.
of 20, yeah, just this last year. So, and it's in Christian leadership and business.
Okay.
So that's what the Lord has me doing. And I feel like it fits me because now I'm like, the Lord has it because I'm the visionary author of these two amazing books, The
Yeah.
Faces of Foster Care,
Hold them up
that
a little more. Okay.
that I have to know how to
Yeah.
communicate, with these individuals. And on the back of volume 1, we had 7 authors. And so, yes, it is very beautiful. We only had the 7. And I remember asking the Lord if I could have an anthology and did not even know who else is like me,
Yeah.
who else was in foster care. So the degree has helped me to know even how to work with all these people. There's 7 in here and there's 17 in volume 2. And then we're working on volume 3 right now. So it's just amazing. I don't even know where all these people come from. That's why I say it's a movement.
Yeah.
This is 100% Yahweh. This is not me because I don't know who's in foster care. And even when I looked up to the heavens one particular day, I said, may I have an anthology, which means it started off as a thought. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't even a book, it was a thought. But
Mm-hmm.
I remember looking up to the heavens and I said, I'm entering my own chapters in other anthologies. I said, Lord, may I have my own anthology? And I said, can we focus only on foster? It has
Mm-hmm.
to be foster care, which means I cannot grab everybody and
Mm-hmm.
draw them in because not everybody was in foster care. And the people outside of foster care, they don't know how we think
Mm-hmm.
or what
Mm-hmm.
we're experiencing. So it's like, Lord, it has to only be foster care.
Mm-hmm.
And that's who he sent.
Well, congratulations on your accomplishments, on the stories, the publishings, all of that. And one more person now who was in foster care. So, I'm excited for our connections and everything.
Amen.
You
Yes.
mentioned a little bit about being a grandmother, so that means that you're a mother and you have a daughter whose birthday is coming up soon. Can you talk to me about, and I'm really asking this for me, I want to hear what you have to say, what wisdom you can share. How did your experiences in foster care inform your motherhood and your mothering? I don't have children yet. I hope to have children one day. I can anticipate it will greatly impact how I go about mothering.
So
Can
true.
you share how that journey's been for you?
Well, one of the things I noticed that a lot of foster children that are not loved, they're
Mm-hmm.
not affirmed,
Mm-hmm.
they don't hear the words, I love you.
Right.
which is what I did not hear. I noticed that even once I got out of the military, that I was real hungry to be a parent. Had
Mm.
no idea what I was even asking for, but I knew that children needed love.
Yeah.
And so, sure enough, my oldest son, he lives in the Houston, Texas area. And I remember when I learned that I was pregnant with him, and I was just really ecstatic, real ecstatic.
Yeah.
And I loved on him so much till I tell him even now that I said, you're, even though you could walk, I said, I didn't want to put you on the floor. I didn't want your feet to touch the floor. Like your mom wanted to hold you. I wanted to love you.
Oh.
And sure enough, that's what I did. And I just enjoyed being a parent.
Yeah.
Same thing with my second son as well. And then, of course, adopting my daughter. So I don't ever remember enjoying, I didn't ever want to do the physical punishment or anything like that, you know, because a lot of times when we are physically hurt like that, we don't even know what our limits are. You know what I'm saying? We could like over exaggerate it to the point to where we may even hurt our own children.
Mm.
So I'm thankful that I'm an Army veteran and I receive counseling even now
Mm-hmm.
because that's my way of, I call it just loving me,
Yeah.
you know, like self care,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. So, yes, they got their taps and they had to sit in the chair and, you know, those type of things. But I didn't do anything to them like what I received whatsoever. I just loved on them. That's all I knew to do. I treated them the way I would have loved, like baby K would have loved to have received, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yes. So I have a 6'6" son,
Oh,
one
wow.
that lives in Houston, and I love it when he bends down, you know, just to give me a hug and say, Mom, I love you.
Yeah.
So it's like, wow. I said he still can do that. You know, he has a desire to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And even though I was spoken to inappropriately,
Mm-hmm.
cussed at, yelled at,
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that he even got on Facebook and said, he even typed it out and said, Mom, you never cussed at us. You never hollered at us. We didn't experience any of the things that you experienced, but you treated us, you know, the way sons are supposed to be treated. And I thought, wow, my son is highlighting, you know, a good thing
Mm-hmm.
about me. And I appreciate that greatly. So that's what I've loved about parenting.
It sounds like it's been healing for you. It really does. In ways that probably no other experience could touch or tap into. I look forward to that. So thank you for sharing. One day I'll get to have some wisdom and experience some motherhood things, I'm sure.
That's
Uh,
right.
I have three more questions for you, if that's okay.
Yes.
So, what do you hope to see change about the child welfare system in your lifetime?
I would love for social workers to literally listen to the children. One
Mm.
of the things that I remember is that there was never a case manager that came out to the house.
Wow.
No one who wanted to hear what I had to say. And even to be physically abused, and the case manager would be welcoming enough to where I could say what I needed to say, knowing that there was not going to be a consequence once she left, you know, because that's what a lot of the parents would say is, you know, what we do in this house stays in this house. Well, guess what? So that really, really, really needs to change. Children need a voice. And
Mm-hmm.
so I want for case managers to stop focusing on what the foster parent says. Like what the foster parent says is 100% true, not. Because
Mm-hmm.
see, the foster parent can put on a smile and they can say the right words. The case manager takes a few notes, right? And she's out the door or he's out the door. The
Mm-hmm.
child is still sitting there and
Right.
they're going, wait, you came here to see them. What about me? So
Mhm.
that is something I believe really needs to change.
Yeah, I agree with you. And that's why I do what I do now here at Youth Voices Rising. We pay youth and people like ourselves to share their stories and have that authentic space to tell the truth 100% without the interference of anyone or any other thing.
That's right.
Youth voices really do matter for sure.
Mhm.
What advice do you have for people who are in care right now?
I would say to journal a
Mm,
lot because I remember writing, like if I had a bad day at school or if someone said something to me that hurt my feelings, I would
mhm,
write it out. I
mhm.
wish I had those journals now because I could have actually turned
Yeah,
them into books, right?
yeah,
But
yeah.
when you get moved so much, do you really get to hold on to those things?
Oh
No,
no.
you
I
don't.
You're preaching to the choir right now. Yeah. I hate moving still to this day. It's such a traumatic thing for me, honestly. I hate packing. I hate all of it. I hate it
Oh,
all.
yes,
Um,
yes.
Journaling is really beautiful advice.
It is, it is. And then I would love for foster youth to find someone such as a mentor or a really good teacher or just somebody in their life that they can trust,
Mm-hmm.
just to speak. I would love it if counselors, even at school, would say that, like, they have a list of all the children that are in care.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? Pay a little bit more attention to those children. And I'm not saying the other children are not important, but the foster youth, they have a lot going on up here. And
Mm-hmm.
then they want to act out in class. And then you want to suspend them. And then, you just I feel like even school educators, the administrators, they don't get it.
No.
They do not get it. So
Mm-mm.
I said one day the Lord is going to put me in the schools to go and talk because I'm tired of teachers standing in the teacher's lounge talking about somebody's child. Guess what? I'm a substitute. I'm filling in. You may be talking about my foster child. You
Mm-hmm.
don't know who I am just because I got a name tag on, and it says substitute or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-mm. The
Yeah.
teachers got to stop doing that. If you want to go and talk, go in your classroom. You have several teachers come in there. You close the door. That's
Mm-hmm.
your safe space. Nobody else is listening to your conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But I've experienced that way too many times. That's a no-no.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is a no-no. So
Yeah.
I just feel like the staff need to really think about the children. When it comes to foster children, I just really want them to hang in there, continue to find a safe person to speak to that you can confide in. If you have a big brother or big sister, from the Big Brother, Big Sister program, confide in them if you trust them. I would love for these children to come into connection with someone who is spirit led, which means they're led by God Himself,
Mm-hmm.
and they know how to pour into that child
Mm-hmm.
spiritually.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're not going to overload them, but they're going to tell that child that even though right now you feel like you don't have anyone to talk to, you can write your prayers out on paper. You can get on your knees. You can talk to the Lord when you're in your room by yourself, or you can just whisper, because the Lord, He hears our whispers.
Mm-hmm.
So talk to Him because He always hears the cries of His children. So that would be my advice to them, is just to reach out to the Lord. And like myself, I didn't grow up knowing Him, but I would pray that someone would introduce Christ to the child.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing that. And you mentioned writing. So where can people get in touch to read your books or to be a part of your anthology?
Well, I'm glad you had asked that question because we're always looking for brand new authors,
Mm-hmm.
always. Because remember, we serve a voice activated God. So when we share our stories, we do it, number one, for God's glory, number two, for our own healing.
Mm-hmm.
And I always think about how our story is for His glory. And so we need to share. the Lord wants us to share. And the books can actually be found on Amazon, Apple Pay, and Barnes and Noble
Okay.
at the moment. And I would love for individuals to reach out when they make that decision, because not everybody's ready to write. Not everybody wants to share their story. They haven't gotten to that point in their life yet.
Mm-hmm.
But for those of you that have, and you want to get your story out and you want to bless the readers, yes, I would love for you to reach out to me either on Facebook or on Instagram. And it's actually under K Kizer on Facebook. On Instagram, it's actually K and then underscore Carry, Carry, and then ON, which is K's Carry On, which is the nonprofit for to make sure that foster kids get rolling luggage and all the goodies that we fill it with. So yes, I would love for people to reach out to me. And I'm even willing to give out my K's Carry On phone number so that people can reach me by that way too, which that phone number is area code 936-240-8762. So I have every day the Lord blesses me with brand new authors because somebody's introducing them. That's
Mm-hmm.
how we went from 7 authors to 17. And now we have, I don't even know how many we're going to have for volume 3 because people have already submitted their chapters.
Yeah.
And so we're getting ready to upload them and submit them. And then volume 3 will come out.
That's beautiful. We'll drop all the information in the show notes for those of you listening and for those of you who would like to get in touch with Dr. K. And then last but not least, I'm going to close this out with a question for you, Dr. K.
All right.
So you talk a lot about the power of telling your story and how it's healed you and how you hope to help others. What is the biggest takeaway that you hope people reading your story can take?
I would say that they would understand what foster youth really need. And I'm talking about the love, the affirmation, the emotional support, those things that children need when they come into care. And that's a part of helping them to develop and to develop well. It's
Mm.
almost as if we are eating, which I just learned that kale is a superfood. So when we eat the kale, what's it do for our physical body? So when we give children love, affirmation, the correct words, because even when you speak to a plant, you can either speak good things to the plant or bad things. And when you speak bad things, then the plant starts to die.
Mm.
So we need to, as we read these, we're going to understand the importance of just loving on that young person who was created in the image of God. We have to think about that. That young person came to planet Earth and now they need to be nurtured, they need to be watered, they need to be loved. They need to be, there's even some roses or some plants where sometimes we have to put like a little prop
Mm-hmm,
to make
mm-hmm,
sure that they grow correctly. I mean, we do that with tomato plants.
mm-hmm,
We
mm-hmm,
put that's just to make sure that they grow up
mm-hmm,
properly and that they're not hanging over.
mm-hmm,
We have to look at these young people as studying the child and understanding what they really need and not be so quick to be judgmental because we have to realize that, like in these books, there are people who were in residential facilities, which means they've probably moved from place to place to place.
mm-hmm,
And so when that child gets into your home, you're wondering why they're behaving the way they are. You're real quick to pick up the phone. You want to call the children's division and say, this child has to move. Wait, pray about it. Say, Lord, how can I be a solution to a problem? Don't be so quick to want to discard because you could be discarding the next president of the United States of America. They're going to look back at you and say, oh, you were my foster parent and you're the one who got rid of me. Well, look at me now. I'm the
mm-hmm,
president of the United States.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So that's what we're going to find when we read these is how we need to nurture the children. We also need to take time to introduce children to Christ
mm-hmm,
because there's a lot in here that were not introduced. And so we're doing a disservice to our Creator. Because how is it that these young people can come on planet Earth and we don't want to share Him with them? That doesn't make any sense. So that's what they're going to get away as they read these books. They're going to take that away as they read them.
Well, thank you so much. I am so grateful for you being here, for your willingness and kindness and sharing your story. The bravery never goes unseen to me. So just thank you from the bottom of my heart. For those of you who want to get in touch with Dr. K, again, all of her contact information will be shared in the show notes. And we thank you for being here today and to listening to our stories. The InnerViews podcast is a production of the Safe Camp Audio Network, which is a division of Youth Voices Rising via Fostering Media Connections. Please visit safecampaudio.org on the web or Safe Camp Audio on all major social media. This podcast was produced and mixed by Christine Onjoko. If you enjoyed this episode, we'd love it if you consider sharing, subscribing, and or giving us a 5-star rating on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you download your podcast.